What's up, guys? Emmanuel Jones here, and we back here with another video. And this time, we'll be doing our week. We'll be doing our tier rankings for early 2024 predictions, and where I can rank a team. So yeah, so that's what I think they can do. So so basically, before I get to the video, don't forget to put thumbs up the video, subscribe to my channel for more options, and don't forget to comment down your opinion below where you think you can rank your favorite team at. So yeah, we're gonna get started here. So we got 6 tiers. So we got the favorite category where teams were our favorite to win the Super Bowl this year. Um, we okay. So the favorite category is where teams are favorite to win the Super Bowl this year and go to Super Bowl. Contenders like the same thing. Where contender, where like a team can like contend 10 in each conference. Playoffs is where teams, just make the playoffs. Dark horse is where, teams could definitely um looking outside and making the playoffs, but they could be like very surprising. And yeah. Mid is where teams are just average, and then trash means you suck. So let's get started here because we got the Arizona Cardinals first team. The Cardinals are a very tricky team though. Now we could argue saying that they suck because they usually do, but they kind of last. But now I feel like Kyler Murray's gonna be coming back fully healthy, coming off an injury. Now we know he didn't play almost all season due to an injury where they can put Josh Dobson, and they traded him away. So basically, the Cardinals, are very interesting though because Kyler Murray seems like he's kind of a borderline top 10 quarterback, but I feel like he's kind of a top 15 quarterback in my opinion, top 20 quarterback. I've I felt the offensive line is pretty solid. Um, they might need a receiver now. Marquise Brown's a free agent. Are they going to bring him back, or they're going to let him go? I mean, if you bring him back, that'll be huge, and you can pair him up with another receiver, which that can make their offense be cooking with some things. I mean, Greg Dortch and Rondell Moore. I mean, they're pretty good wide receivers. Trey McBride, he's a special talent. He had a breakout season last year. I expect him to at least he can take that next step to be a stud. Defensively, they need a lot of work. Jonathan Gannon's going to have to work his side of the ball on defense to make his scheme work. Um, you know, um, they need to improve their defensive line because their run defense is so bad. Linebacker position is okay. I mean, Zaven Collins is okay, fine. BJ O'Leary entering his second year. Secondary needs improvement. They may look to improve at corner. Buda Baker's a stud. So they need a lot of work on defense, though. But you know what? I have too much respect for Kyler Murray because I feel like he's too good of a quarterback to make them be trash. So I feel like the Cardinals might take a little bit of a step forward this year because I think Kyler Murray's a baller. I feel like this team is in a place where they can win like 6, 7, 8 games or maybe 9. Because they could definitely make the playoffs next year, but I wouldn't be surprised. So basically, I'm gonna say they're mid because I just kind of really feel like that Kyler Murray. I feel like the Cardinals, will take a step forward because I think Kyler Murray is a baller. All right, the next team we got the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta Falcons, are a very interesting team. They don't have a core. They need a quarterback because I don't think Desmond Ritter's a guy. If they can get a Russell Wilson or a Kirk Cousins or maybe a Justin Fields, I feel like this team can definitely be a playoff team. But if they can be, but if they draft a quarterback, that's fine. Um, the offensive line is solid. The receiving core needs some work. I mean, it's all still solid. I mean, Drake London's a stud. Kyle Pitts is a stud. Um, Running backs are really good. Bijan Robinson entering his second year. Tyler Algier is pretty good. Van Jefferson and Mac Hollins, they're free agent. Are they gonna let go? They're gonna keep them. I mean, they may look to improve at wide receiver. Defense, is pretty good. Dean Pease is a good defense coordinator, but they fire Arthur Smith. But I feel like Raheem Morris brought on the new Ram scheme, and I feel like they have a new offensive coordinator in Zach Robinson. We're gonna see what he can do with the offense. But I think the Falcons have a good opportunity to make the playoffs next year, but I don't really know because they were pretty mid last year. You know what? I'm gonna say the Atlanta Falcons are just mid because I just think the Falcons, just don't have a quarterback right now. Because I just kind of feel like that Atlanta, they just need that quarterback, and then you can just change my mind. Next team, we have the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens are a very interesting team because that's kind of like very hard because a lot of people could say they're a contender or a favorite, but I felt the Ravens might take a little bit of a step back this year because they lost Mike McDonald as their defensive coordinator because they brought in Zach Orr as defense coordinator. So yeah, I mean Ty Monken was a really good offensive coordinator for them, and Lamar Jackson, he's a stud at quarterback. We gotta figure out what the future of their team's gonna be because the Ravens, made the playoffs last year, and they would have won the Super Bowl last year because they got smacked by the Chiefs. So yeah, I mean the Ravens, got some pieces. You know, Dalvin Cook, I don't think he's the same player. I mean the running backs are free agent. Gus Edwards a free agent. Keaton Mitchell's pretty awesome. Justice Hill's awesome. J.K. Dobbins is awesome, but I don't know if he's gonna be the same player coming off the Achilles injury. Um, the receiving core maybe needs some work. Zay Flowers entering his second year. He had a really good rookie season. Odell Beckham's a free agent. Nelson Aguilar's a free agent. Devin Duvernay's awesome. Tight ends are really good. Isaiah Likely seems like he's looking to be a stud. Mark Andrews a stud. Rashad Bateman is pretty disappointing, but I feel like he's still okay. Offensive line, may need some work. They got a lot of free agents there. I mean, they're getting older. Like Moses is pretty good. He's Moses, Stanley, or Zether or Voorhees. They're all free agents. I mean, most of them are free agents, but I don't know if they're going to bring them back. Defensively, they're really good. I mean, Justin Montemuke, he's going to be a free agent. Are they going to keep him or they're going to let him go? I mean, they just tagged him. Michael Pierce is good. Tyus Bowser is fine. Jadeveon Cloud is a free agent. Are they going to bring him back? I don't know. Owe is pretty good. Patrick Queen's a free agent. We don't know if they're going to bring him back. Kyle Van Noy's a free agent. We don't know. I mean, yeah, and then the list goes on. Then Roquan Smith's a stud. Secondary's awesome. Kyle Hamilton's a stud. Marlon Humphrey's a stud. Gion Stone is pretty good. He's gonna be a free agent. So they may look to improve at cornerback. I mean, you got Marcus Williams who's a stud. So they gotta look to improve at corner. Let me add a number two corner because I think Ronald Darby, he's a free agent. I don't think he's as good as he used to be. So yeah. So basically, I still think the Ravens will be a good team this year, but I don't know if I can put them as contender. I'm gonna say maybe just I'll put them in playoffs. I mean, I feel like Lamar Jackson, if he can stay 100% healthy, I think this team has a chance to make the playoffs. Because almost last season they made the playoffs without Lamar Jackson. So yeah. The Buffalo Bills. The Bills is kind of interesting though because the Bills are trying to figure out the future of this team. Now Josh Allen is the best is a stud at quarterback. They call him Mr. One Man Show. Um, the they're trying to figure out the future of their team because Gabe Dave, they have a lot of talent though. Stephon Diggs is a stud. Gabe Davis is a stud. Khalil Shakir is pretty good as well. Dalton Kincaid had a really good rookie season. He may take that next step to be a stud. Dawson Knox is a stud. James Cook seems like he's looking to be a stud. Now, the Bills could also trade Stephon Diggs, which I don't know if it's going to happen. Gabe Davis a free agent. Like they're gonna keep him or they're gonna or you're gonna let him go. I mean, offensive line is pretty good, but they could be having some cap issues, which they could definitely move on from certain players. Now, defensively, they're really good, but they got a lot of key pieces who are free agents. Like AJ Epinesa is a free agent. Micah Hyde is a free agent. Like Daquan Jones, a free agent. Linval Jones, a free agent. They got to do something with Von Miller's contract, which I hope they do. Linebackers are really good. I mean, Matt Milano should be coming back. Like, I don't know if he's going to be the same player. Tyrell's a free agent. Dorian Williams had a really good rookie season. Secondary strong. I mean, Russell Douglas, he's a stud. Christian Benford's awesome. Taylor Rapp seems like he's a free agent. DeMar Hamlin's a free agent. So they may look to improve at safety. They may look to improve their defensive line a little bit because Leonard Floyd's a free agent. So the Bills got so many free agents on defense. So would they have to answer, which I think they will. But you know what, though? I'm going to say the Bills, I'm just going to say, they're a contender because they just have Josh Allen, and they were so lucky they were almost made the Super Bowl this year. They had it, and they got Joe Brady as a full offensive coordinator now, and Sean McDermott's still there, but I don't know if they have a defensive coordinator because we know Sean McDermott's a really good defensive coach. So yeah, the Bills are definitely a contender. But if they get rid of a lot of key players, I mean, I can definitely say they could take a step back this year, which I could see them doing it. All right, next team got the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers, we know they got Bryce Young as a quarterback, but you know what? The Panthers are trash because they were so trash last year because Bryce Young, he was terrible. I mean, the offensive line was not good. The receiving core outside of Adam Thielen was overwhelming. Now I feel like that Jonathan Mingo was so disappointing. DJ Chark was disappointing. Hayden Hurst was disappointing. The rest of the guys were disappointing. I mean, Adam Thielen was just the number one receiver on this team. I mean, if they could look to add another receiver outside Adam Thielen, I feel like the Panthers offense can be tough to stop. Like if they get like a Mike Evans, DeAndre Hopkins, Marquise Brown, T. Higgins, or maybe they trade for Stephon Diggs, I think the Panthers offense will be explosive. Now the offensive line is very solid, but they don't have a running game to depend on. Now they have a new coach in Dave Canales, which I think he's going to develop Bryce Young. But they still got Evero as the defense coordinator for the Panthers. Now the defense, kind of got some key pieces that are free agents. Frankie Lou was a free agent. Brian Burns a free agent. Are they gonna bring them back or they're gonna let them go? Who knows? I mean, they still got Shaq Thompson, who's a stud. Derek Brown is a stud. The secondary is decent, but I don't think it's good because they got J.C. Horn, who's a stud. Von Bell's a stud. Jeremy Chin's a stud. C.J. Henderson is okay, but he's not great. Corner, he's not a good corner. I mean, Dante Jackson, he's still there, but they may look to let him go. I mean, Troy Hill, I don't think he's done much. Deion Jones hasn't done much. I don't think he's the same player. So, yeah. So, the Panthers, they got some questions to answer. Like, what they're gonna do with Brian Burns. Are they gonna let him go, or they're gonna keep him? Are they gonna tag him? We don't know. So I mean, the Panthers, if they can at least add another receiver, I mean, I could move them up a little bit, but I'm just gonna say they're trash for right now. And then maybe if they can sign some free agents, then I'll probably move them up a little bit. So yeah. Next team got Chicago Bears. The Bears are another fascinating team. Now the Bears have some questions at quarterback. We're gonna see what they can do with Justin Fields. Are they gonna trade him, or they're gonna keep him, or they're gonna at least keep? Are they gonna get Caleb Williams or keep Justin Fields? That's the question. If they keep Justin Fields, I think the Bears, that'll be awesome. But if they get Caleb Williams, I feel like Caleb Williams will be very special. I feel like that he's gonna be special, and I think I don't think he's gonna be like a C.J. Stroud type of guy, but I think he will be special with this team. Now the Bears got some wep. Now the Bears have been building a lot of talent because they got some young talent they can build upon. Now they may look to improve their running back position. Now Deontay Foreman's a free agent. If they can get a Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler, Josh Jacobs, I think the Bears' offense will be tough to stop. I feel like their run game will improve. Now the receiving core is very good. DJ Moore is a stud. He had a breakout season last year. Darnell Mooney is awesome. It's pretty good, but he's a free agent. We're gonna see what they can do with him. Cole Kmet is a good tight end. They got some pieces on offense they can work with. I mean, they can look to add a receiver in free agency or throughout the draft. They could look to trade for one. Now the offensive line is getting better. It's starting to improve a little bit. Defensively, I thought last year they played really good at the end of the year. They did improve it, on the trade deadline by adding Montez Sweat to improve the defensive line. Now we're gonna see what they can do with Yannick Ngakwe. I mean, if he's gonna stay or they're gonna let him go, we don't know. If they bring him back, I mean, that can definitely help their run defense. Linebacking position is pretty good. Tremaine Edmonds is a stud. T.J. Edwards is a stud. Secondary is pretty good. Jalen Johnson, I hope they bring him back as their number one corner. But if they lose him, I think their secondary will be shaky. Tariq Stevenson and Brisker, there are some good DBs. They're looking to be studs. I mean, their defense is very young, and they're playing better. But I think the Bears are going to be better than people think. So I'm going to put the Bears. I mean, they were mid last year, but I'm going to say the Bears are kind of like a dark horse because I think the Bears have an opportunity. I feel like they improved a lot on this. I feel like they're going to improve, and I think they have a good opportunity to be a playoff team next year. So yeah, I put the Bears as a dark horse. Next team, we have the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are another interesting team. We're going to see what they can do with T. Higgins because they tagged him. So are they going to keep him or they're going to trade him? We don't know. Tyler Boyd's a free agent. And Jamar Chase a stud. I mean, Joe Mixon, are they going to keep him or they're going to let him go? We don't know. So the Bengals, I mean, I feel like they need the one thing they can improve their offense is maybe they can at least add a tight end to improve who's that going to be. Offensive line is pretty good. I mean, Jonah Williams a free agent. Are they going to keep him? They're going to let him go. The defense is pretty good. I mean, they have a lot of studs on defense. I mean, they had a few that are going to be free agents. I mean, Trey Henderson, he's a stud. B.J. Hill's a stud. Sam Hubbard's a stud. Miles Murphy is going to be entering second year. I feel like he's going to be a stud. Joseph Osai is pretty good. Now, DJ Reader, he's a free agent. Are they going to let him go or they're going to keep him? Linebacking position is pretty good. Logan Wilson is a stud. Jermaine Pratt's a stud. Secondary is pretty good. I mean, Chiwobia Wuze, he's a free agent. Mike Hilton is a stud. Cam Taylor-Britt is a stud. I mean, DJ Turner is an awesome guy. I mean, they can look to at least improve at safety a little bit. I mean, Dax Hill, he may look to enter through his maybe third year or maybe his second year. So, yeah. So, the Bengals got a lot of talent on defense because we know Big Lou is a really good defensive coordinator. Now, the defense was not really good last year, but the offense was fine. I mean, especially with Zach Taylor calling plays. But, they lost their offensive coordinator, Brian Callahan, which I think the offense will still be fine. I mean, as long as Joe Burrow stays healthy, I think this team has an opportunity to be a contender next year or maybe a favorite. But you can make a good argument out of there saying that they could be a favorite, but I could be biased about this. But I'm gonna say the Bengals. I'm gonna say they're just a contender. I mean, as long as Joe Burrow can stay healthy, I think the Bengals have an opportunity to make the playoffs and be a contender because they wasn't a contender last year because they were so mid because Joe Burrow was hurt. So yeah, so I feel like with a healthy Joe Burrow, I think that puts the Bengals back in the playoffs. All right, the next team we have the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns are another fascinating team. Now, the Browns made the playoffs last year. I mean, especially without Deshaun Watson. I mean, Deshaun Watson, you know, I feel like he's ass a little bit. I mean, I think he sucks a little bit, but I don't think he's as bad as you think. I mean, he's still okay, but I don't think he's as good as he used to be. He's not a top 5, top 10 quarterback because he missed the rest of the season due to injuries. Well, he's gonna come back fully healthy. Nick Chubb, I mean, he's a stud. We're gonna see what they can do with him. I mean, they list him as a cut candidate. I mean, are they gonna keep him or they're gonna let him go? They got they got other weapons on offense. I mean, Amari Cooper is a stud. David Njoku is a stud. Elijah Moore is awesome. They may look to add another receiver if they can. So yeah, I mean, offensive line is solid. I mean, the defense, was really good last year. I mean, coached by Jim Schwartz. I mean, he did a really good job with the defense. I mean, they got some studs on defense. I mean, Myles Garrett is a stud. Shelby Harris is pretty good. I mean, Dalvin Tomlinson is really good. Um, Zadarius Smith is a stud, but he's a free agent. I mean, either going to keep him or they're going to let him go. I mean, they could lose him, but I don't know if it's big of a loss you think. Now, linebacking position is pretty solid. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is a stud. I mean, Anthony Walker, I feel like he's okay. Secondary is awesome. Thornhill's a stud. Ward is a stud. Greg Newsom's a stud. So they have a good corner duo and a safety duo in the secondary. I felt the Brown. I mean, and then you got Kevin Stefanski calling plays on the offense side of the ball, and then you also had Ken Dorsey as the offense coordinator, which that's really good. So I think the Browns kind of have an opportunity to make the playoffs next year, but I'm not sure they can be a contender because they made a first playoff exit last year. I'm gonna say the Browns, because their defense is really good, but they can be ran on at times. But you know what though, it's kind of hard to say. I think they're somewhere between playoffs and dark horse. But I'm gonna say they're a dark horse because I've kind of felt the Browns kind of have an opportunity to make the playoffs once again. Because I think the Browns, are that type of team where I think they could be very dangerous and they could surprise some people. So yeah, I think the Browns are a dark horse. Next team we have the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys are very interesting. I think the Cowboys, have a good opportunity to make the playoffs next year because Dak Prescott is a stud, pretty good. He played like a top 5 quarterback almost all season. The running backs, I mean, Tony Pollard, he's a stud, but they may look to replace him if he leaves. I mean, either going to keep him or they're going to let him go. The receiving core is awesome. Brandon Cooks is a stud. CeeDee Lamb's a stud. Jake Ferguson's an awesome tight end. Michael Gallup is an awesome deep threat at wide receiver. Offensive line is pretty good now. They got to figure out they're going to bring back Tyron Smith. I mean, are they going to bring him back or no? Defensively, they're really good, but they can be ran on at times. Now they could look to add another defensive lineman to improve their run defense. Now DeMarcus Lawrence is a stud, Dorrance Armstead is a stud, Mozzie Smith enters his second year, Micah Parsons is a stud. Linebacking position could improve a little bit. I mean, they can look to add one free agent here through the draft to go along with Leighton Vander Esch. Now, secondary is pretty strong. Now, they could lose Stephon Diggs, but I don't think that's a bit of a loss. You think? Because Deron Bland seems like he's going to be a stud because, he's a really good corner. Trevon Diggs is a stud. He should be fully back healthy coming off the ACL injury. The safeties, I'm not really a fan. I mean, Malik Hooker, Jerron Curse, and Donovan Wilson. Yeah, I feel like they can improve the safety position a little bit. So yeah, I mean, and also the Cowboys. I feel like they could definitely take a step back this year because they lost Dan Quinn as their defense coordinator, and now they got a new defensive coordinator in Mike Zimmer. And then they lost Kellen Moore as their offensive coordinator. So basically, they got a new offensive coordinator in Brian Skolhammer. So yeah. So basically, the Cowboys, I feel like they have a chance to win the division and make the playoffs next year. But I don't know if they're going to be good as they were. If they're going to make, I don't even know how far they're going to be. I don't know if they can get this far to get to the Super Bowl. Because Mike McCarthy, I feel like he's still an excellent coach. So, yeah. So, basically, I think the Dallas Cowboys, you can argue saying that they're a contender. Or they could be a favorite as well, but I don't know. But I'm just going to say the Cowboys, I'm going to put them in playoffs now because I think the Cowboys have a good opportunity to make the playoffs next year. So, yeah. All right, the next team, we have the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos are an interesting team now. They have to figure out what they're going to do with Russell Wilson. I mean, they're going to keep him or they're going to let him go. We don't know because there was news saying that they're going to let him go because they benched him the final 2 games of the season. Now, the Broncos kind of have some talent now. Now, Javonte Williams is a stud at running back. The receiving core is excellent. Courtland Sutton is a stud. He had a good season last year. Jerry Jeudy was disappointing. The tight end position I'm not a fan of. I mean, Adam Troutman's a free agent. And then, so yeah, Tim Patrick, he should be fully back healthy next season. Marvin Mims seems like he's looking to be a stud. I mean, offensive line is pretty good. I mean, I don't think it's as great. Defensively, they played really good at the end of the year. They got a really good defensive line. Zach Allen is a stud. Zach Allen is a stud. Mike Purcell is a stud. DJ Jones is a stud. Browning is a stud. Cooper is a stud. Jewell seems like he's awesome. Al Singleton is pretty good now. Secondary is very strong. Patrick Surtain's a stud. Justin Simmons is a stud. They may look to improve at a number 2 corner, which I think they can do that. So yeah, but you know what? I feel like the Broncos are very intriguing. I really don't want to put them in trash because I have too much respect for Sean Payton. But you know what though? They were kind of mid last year, so maybe I'm just gonna put them in trash for now because they haven't really decided who their quarterback is gonna be. So basically, though, that's in question. So maybe if they figure out who their quarterback's gonna be, I can move them up a little bit. But I just kind of feel like if they get a Justin Fields or a Kirk Cousins, something like that in free agency, I think they can be really good. I mean, if they they could be in position to draft the quarterback if Russell Wilson leaves, which I think that can happen. So yeah, I'd say the Broncos and Archers trash. All right, next team we have the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions, are another interesting team. The Lions, are interesting though. I feel like they have a good chance to be a contender next year, but I put them as a favorite because I think the Lions have a good opportunity to go to the Super Bowl next year because they were so close to doing it, but they had a bad loss. But they blew it to the 49ers and they made it Niners came back on them. Now here's the thing. Now Jared Goff is a really good quarterback. He's a really good quarterback for this team. Um feel like he's gonna be a star. The running game is definitely exists. David Montgomery's a stud. Jameer Gibbs is gonna enter his second year. I feel like he looks to be a stud at running back. The receiving core is really good. Amon-Ra St. Brown's a stud. Sam Laporte has a good rookie season, so I feel like he could be a stud. Jameson Williams is a stud. So Lions got some weapons on offense. And then basically the offensive line is is pretty strong. The defense may look to improve to add another edge rusher on there. Now Aiden Hutchinson is a is a stud. Um, Linebacking position's fine. I mean Alec Anzalone is fine. Jack Campbell's gonna enter through his second year. James Houston is a stud. Derek Barnes is a stud. Secondary is pretty strong, but they may look to add another corner. Now, we don't know who that is. Um, CJ Gardner Johnson's a free agent. Um, Kirby Joseph is a stud. Jerry Jacobs is a stud. Brian Branch seemed like he's a stud. He had a good rookie season. So yeah. And also they have a really good coaching staff. Ben Johnson's a really good offensive coordinator, and then Aaron Glenn's a really good defense coordinator as well. And then Dan Campbell, he seemed like he's one of the best coaches I think he can be ever. So yeah, I think the Lions have a good chance to be a favorite next year. Next team, we have the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers are another fascinating team because the Packers, they made the playoffs with no Aaron Rodgers this year. And his young team, was able to survive. So yeah, so I think the Packers, could have a great opportunity to make the playoffs next year, but I think they have a great opportunity that they can be a contender next year. And the reason why I say they can have a chance to be a contender next year is because here's the thing. They can be explosive on offense. Because I thought Jordan Love didn't really look good at the beginning of the year until like the end of the year, he looked pretty good. Now, I felt the offense could definitely be dangerous and explosive. I mean, Christian Watson, I hope he comes back fully healthy. I feel like if he stay healthy, has potential to be one of the best receivers. Jaden Reed had a good rookie season. I feel like he's gonna be a stud. Um, Romeo Dobbs is awesome. Wicks is awesome. Melton is awesome. The tight ends are improving. Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave. So they're starting to grow. So the young offense has been stepping up. The offensive line is very solid. I mean, if this David Bakhtiari is going to come back or no, they're going to answer that question. Defensively, they're really good, but they can be ran on at times. Kenny Clark is a stud. Devontae Wyatt is a stud. Kenny Clark is a stud. Linebacking position is really good. Patterson Smith's a stud. Devon J. Campbell's a stud. Rashawn Gary's a stud. Lucas Menace enters his second year. Quay Walker is a stud. Secondary is very strong. I mean, Jair Alexander is a stud. Darnell Savage is a stud. Keyshawn Nixon, a free agent. They're going to keep him. They're going to let him go. Jonathan Owens is pretty good. Eric Stokes, I feel like he's a stud. So yeah, So Packers have a lot of talent there, and then you still got Matt LaFleur calling plays on offense. So yeah, but the same thing is, but they just don't have a defense coordinator. So yeah, so I think the Packers have a chance to at least like be a contender next year because Jordan Love, seems like he's starting to prove himself as a passer. So yeah. All right, next team we have the Houston Texans. Texans are another fascinating team, but I thought the Texans have a good chance to win their division because Texans have a really good receiving core, a really good um they have a really good offensive line and they have really good coaching staff with Bobby Slowick and you know I don't know who defense coordinator's name is, but they got D'Amico Ryans who can be calling defenses. Now the receiving core, now I feel like the Texans. I feel like C.J. Stroud is awesome. I feel like there's a chance that the Texans can go to the playoffs again. Now here's the thing. Now I just kind of really feel like they got some studs on offense and defense. Nico Collins, he looks to be a stud. Tank Dell looks to be a stud. Noah Brown looks to be a stud. Dalton Schultz, I mean, we're gonna see what they can do with him. They're gonna keep him or he's gonna go. Robert Woods was so disappointing. So yeah. So I think the Texans, I feel like they can be better than people think, but I'm gonna put them in the playoffs for right now. I'm not sure about them putting them as a contender, but I just feel like they have a good shot to make the playoffs next year because I feel like CJ Stroud is that good. So yeah. Next team at the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are another interesting team. They got Anthony Richardson, who could definitely be a stud because he showed a lot of good before he got hurt. So yeah. So the Colts are very interesting though. I mean, they got some weapons on offense like Jonathan Taylor is a stud at running back. Zach Moss. I mean, he was a really good running back, even when Jonathan Taylor was hurt. The receiving option. I mean, Michael Pittman Jr. is a free agent. Are they going to keep him? Or they're going to let him go. Um, so yeah, I mean, offensive line is pretty good. The defense is like pretty good. I mean, the Bear. I mean, Gus Bradley is a really good defense core. I mean, they may look to improve at corner and their defensive tackle to improve their run defense a little bit because Grover Stewart's a free agent and Julian Blackmon's a free agent. So yeah. So I think the Colts, have an opportunity to at least be a playoff team next year. So basically, though, I'm gonna put them in the dark horse because the Colts, have won 9 games, this year, and they were so almost lucky to make the playoffs. So yeah. So I put the Colts as a dark horse because I feel like they have a chance to make the playoffs once again. Next team, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars are another interesting note because a lot of people think Trevor Lawrence is overrated and all that, which I don't think he is. I mean, they call him the Prince. The offensive line may need some work. Um, I mean, the receiving core is really good. I mean, the receiving core is really good. I mean, Christian Kirsten, he looks to be a stud. I mean, and then Evan Ingram is a stud. Um, Chris is Zay Jones is a stud. Travis Etienne's a stud. So they got some nice pieces on offense. Now the offensive line may need some work. Defensively, they're pretty good, I say, but they're not like great. I mean, Roy is awesome, but they got the linebackers is pretty good. I mean, Trayvon Walter, um, Devin Lloyd. I mean, many more. So yeah, and I mean, I mean, Doug Peterson is fine. I don't think he's a bad coach, but I don't think he's a great. I feel he's a good coach, but I don't think he's a great coach. So basically, I think the Jaguars could be overrated in my opinion. But you know what? I'm gonna say Jacksonville. Is just a dark horse, most likely, because I feel like Jacksonville has a chance to make the playoffs once again. So yeah. Next team we have the Kansas City Chiefs. Now the Chiefs, are a favorite because they got Chiefs are a favorite because they got Patrick Mahomes, they got Andy Reid, um, they got Travis Kelsey, Chris Jones. I mean, they gotta answer that. Will Chris Jones be back? I don't know. Now where yeah, now the running back position is pretty strong. I mean, Isaiah Pacheco's a stud. Travis Kelsey is a stud. They may look to add another receiver. Rasheed Rice had a good rookie season. Offensive line may need some work a little bit. I mean, it's pretty good, and then defensively they're pretty good as well, especially in the secondary. Now Snead's a free agent. Are they going to keep him or let him go? Same thing with. So I just kind of really feel like the Chiefs, they might take a little step back this year, where a lot of Chiefs fans have to accept because they got some key free agents that might not be back. So yeah, so I think Jaguars are gonna. So yeah, I think Jacksonville has a good opportunity to make the playoffs next year or win the division, but I wouldn't be shocked if they did. So yeah, so I think Jacksonville is just a dark horse. Next team we have the Las Vegas Raiders. Now the Raiders, they're just trash because they just don't have a quarterback right now. Um, they hire Antonio Pierce as a full time head coach. They got some weapons on offense they can work with. I mean, they got Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers. I mean, Hunter Renfro, Brian Edwards. I mean, yeah, and then Josh Jacobs, Michael Mayer, the tight end. Offensive line is pretty solid. Now the defense may look to at least improve a little bit with their linebacking position, their defensive tackle, and their corner position and their safety position. Where I think there's areas they have to improve, and they have to improve on the quarterback as well. So yeah, so if they can at least like get one of those guys, and I think the Raiders, if they can at least improve their defense, I think they can be very dangerous. So yeah, and then you still got I don't know who their offensive coordinator is, which I have to find out. So yeah, so Raiders are just trash because they just don't have a quarterback right now. But if they can get like a Jaden Daniels or JJ McCarthy or trade it for Caleb Williams, I think this team could be very dangerous. So yeah, but if they get like Russell Wilson, Kirk Cousins, and so that's where it can go from. So yeah, so I got the Raiders as trash. Like if they get like a Justin Fields or something like that, I feel like I feel like they can change my mind. So yeah, so I got the Raiders as trash for now. Next team, we got the Los Angeles Chargers. Now the Chargers got Jim Harbaugh. They got Jimmy G. They got Justin Herbert. I mean, they got some key pieces on offense like Mike Williams. he's a stud. They may look to move on from him. I don't know. Um, I mean, I like the other receivers as well. I mean, Jalen Guy and Josh Palmer are studs. So is Jeffrey. Um, so yeah, I mean, Quentin Johnson's a bust. I mean, they may look to improve their offensive line a little bit, but it's still pretty good. But the defense, may needs a lot of work. I mean, they're pretty good. I mean, they're solid. I mean, we just seen that they cut Eric Kendricks. I mean, Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa are stud. They got to do something with their contracts. Um, I mean, so yeah, I mean, they're linebacker. I mean, defensive line is so fine. I mean, linebacker position is very weak. I mean, secondary is it's okay, but not great because I mean they may look to improve at corner a little bit. So yeah, so I think the Chargers have a good opportunity. They can be a playoff team. So basically, I think the Chargers are going to take a little step forward this year because I just kind of feel like Justin Herbert is really too good, and then you got Jim Harbaugh too. So yeah, so basically, I'm they're somewhere between playoffs and dark horse, but I put them as a dark horse because I think the Chargers have a real good chance to make the playoffs next season. So yeah. And also, they have a new offensive coordinator and defense coordinator as well. So yeah, that's pretty much why the Chargers are just a dark horse. Next team, you have the Los Angeles Rams. Now the Rams are another interesting team because we know they got fortunate when they made the playoffs last year, when they made the playoffs this year. Because now you got Matthew Stafford, and then you got weapons on offense like Kyron Williams. He looks to be a stud. Puka Nacua looks to be a stud. Cooper Kupp looks to be a stud. I mean, other receivers like Ben Skoranek, Van Jefferson. And they just have a lot of pieces on offense, especially Tutu Atwell and stuff. I mean, offensive line is starting to improve a little bit. Defensively, they're really good. Now they did lost their defense coordinator in Raheem Morris, and then you start to replace them with another one, which you got Chris Stola. Now out of the defense outside Aaron Donald, they can improve. I mean, Colby Turner seems like he's starting to have a breakout season. Cody Durant literally had a breakout season. So they may look to improve at corner. They may look to improve at safety a little bit. Jordan Fuller's a stud. They may look to improve, at they may look to improve their linebacking position. So yeah. So they may look to improve that. And then, they may look to improve their secondary with the corners and safeties a little bit because even though they're getting younger in there. So yeah, I feel like as long as Matthew Stafford can stay healthy, I think this team can definitely make the playoffs. So yeah, I could definitely see the Rams as the dark horse, but I would put them in the playoffs because I feel like they were fortunate to make the playoffs. So yeah, so that's pretty much why I think the Rams, are just a playoff team because others didn't really had a job or anything. So yeah, that's pretty much why I think the Rams are just a playoff team. I mean, I can move them up a little bit, which I don't really know. So next team, we got the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins are another fascinating team. Now we're gonna see what they can do with Tua. Tua looks like a stud at quarterback. I mean, they got good weapons like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. The running game did improve. I mean, Raheem Morris is a stud. Devon Achane looks to be a stud. Um, The offensive line may need a lot of work now. Teron Armstead's getting older. I don't know if he's gonna be the same player. Um, Christian Wilkins, a free agent. We're gonna see if they can bring him back, which I doubt they will. Um, the Dolphins, they do have talent defense like Christian Wilkins. They got Zach Sear. I mean, they cut Mayo Ogbah. Linebacking position. Andrew Van Gingel's a free agent. We don't know they're gonna bring him back. Jerome Baker, he's likely to get cut because he's getting cut by the Dolphins. I mean, the secondary is fine. I mean, I like Javon Holland, Jalen Hurts as a talent. So yeah, I mean the defense. I mean they lost Vic Fangio and now they got Anthony. We're gonna see what we can do with the defense. Now they have a good offense still. So yeah. But you know what? I think the Dolphins, are. I mean, with Tua, I feel like he's way too good for him to be a mid team. I mean, they're somewhere around here. Like, I can at least like put them in the playoffs. I can put them as a contender. I'll put them as a favorite, or maybe a dark horse or something like that. So yeah. So I think the Dolphins, are just. I'm gonna say, they're just a dark horse because Tua might take that next step to be a good quarterback in the league, maybe top 10, top 5, or something like that. So, yeah. So, I mean, Robert Hunt's a free agent. We're going to see what they can do with him. And then the defense. I mean, the offensive league, they got good weapons like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. They're both studs. They may look to improve at tight end a little bit. So, yeah. So, the Dolphins, they're just a fascinating team. And I put them in a dark horse because they got two. I mean, I could put them at mid. I can put them in playoffs. I don't know. So, yeah. All right, next team, we have the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are another interesting team. We're going to see what they can do with Kirk Cousins. Is he going to stay or is he going to leave? We don't know. They got a good offensive weapons like, you know, Justin Jefferson is a stud. Jordan Addison looks to be a stud. So, yeah, I mean Vikings. I mean they have a really good. I mean they don't really they have some talent on offense but not on defense because they don't have a run game to depend on, and they don't. And and also that it's still run. And the Dolphins, they're. I mean the Vikings. They have a great secondary. They have a good defense coached by Brian Flores. Danielle Hunter's a free agent. We're gonna see what they can do with him. I mean, losing him will be huge for them. I mean, that can definitely help their run defense. But I feel like if they lose him, I feel like that the Vikings defense can take a step back. So yeah, and also they got Kevin O'Connell calling plays as well. So yeah, but you know what though, I think this game right here is gonna be close. I mean I just think Minnesota has a good opportunity to be a playoff team next year if they keep Kirk Cousins. But if Kirk Cousins is not there, I think they could be mid. But if he's there, I think they're a dark horse. So basically, I'm gonna put the Vikings, as a dark horse. The reason why I say I put them as a dark horse because I feel like if Kirk Cousins can stay healthy, I think this team can definitely be on a run to make the playoffs. So yeah, so I put the Vikings, as a dark horse because they have a lot of questions to answer because Harrison Smith's getting older, Harrison Phil's getting older, Byron Murphy, I mean, is really good. Cameron Byron, is a stud at corner or safety, something like that. So yeah, so I got the Vikings as a dark horse. Um, Next team we have the New England Patriots. The Patriots are another fascinating team. Um, yeah, we're gonna see what they can do with Mac Jones. I mean, are they gonna let him go? Or they're gonna, or they're going to trade him. We're going to see what they can do with him. They may look to draft a quarterback this year. Maybe that would be awesome. If they can trade for Justin Fields or Russell Wilson, I mean, that would be awesome. The offensive line needs to improve because Trent Brown's a free agent. Kendrick Bourne's a free agent. I mean, Juju Smith-Schuster is very disappointing. He's a stud at wide receiver a little bit. The tight ends are free agents. Roger Stephens a really good running back. Defensively, they got some key pieces who will be in free agency, like Kyle Duggar, Josh Uche. I mean, can they bring these back? I mean, they franchise tag Kyle Duggar, yeah. I mean, secondary is pretty strong. I mean, they got rid of J.C. Jackson, which that's good. I mean, Christian Gonzalez is a stud at corner. They may look to add a number 2 corner. They may look to add, a defensive lineman to this team to improve the defense. But they just got a new coach in Jerron Mayo, and then you got a coach that's pretty young. So yeah, I think this. I think the Patriots have a good opportunity to be better than people think. I think their offense will be better than we think it will be, and I think their defense will be better than people think. So basically, I would put the Patriots as a dark horse in playoffs. I mean, as long as the Patriots can at least win a couple games at a time. But the same thing is that the red zone offense is bad. So yeah. So I'm not gonna say they're trash, but I'm gonna say maybe they're just mid because I just kind of really feel like that I just kind of feel like the Patriots have a good opportunity. They can really make a playoff push, which I don't really know they really can. So yeah. So I think the Patriots are just a mid team in my opinion. Maybe if they at least add a receiver or something, maybe they can so yeah. So the Patriots are just mid. I mean, if they can get a quarterback, I think they can really change my mind a little bit. Next team, we have New Orleans Saints. New Orleans Saints are another fascinating team. Now, I think the Saints, they got Derek Carr. They still got Dennis Allen. I mean, they fired our offensive coordinator. The defense, is pretty strong, but I don't know. A lot of their players are aging up and they're getting older. So yeah. So I just kind of really feel like that the Saints, they got Derek Carr and they got some offensive weapons. Alvin Kamara's a stud. Jamal Williams is very disappointing. I don't think he's the same player like he used to be, but he's pretty good. The receiving core is really good. Chris Olave is a stud. Rashid Shaheed's a stud. Now Michael Thomas could leave, which I don't think that's big of a loss. You think? Um, the tight end is fine. I mean, Juwan Johnson seems like he's a stud. Offensive line needs improvement. Defensively, they may look to improve a little bit because they're aging up. Because yeah, like Herman and Hadley Foster and Cam. I mean, a lot of people are aging up in that ages. My bad. About the Saints. I mean, the Saints got weapons on offense. Like the offensive line is pretty strong. I mean, they may look to improve it, but the defense, I don't know if it has enough gas in the tank. I mean, Tyron Matthews is a stud, Demario Davis is a stud, Cameron Jordan's a stud, Marshawn Lattimore's a stud. They may look to improve at the corner a little bit. They may look to improve a little bit of their defensive line. So yeah, so basically though, I think the Saints, they have a good opportunity. They can win a weak division, but I don't know. So basically though, I would put the Saints, as a mid team, but I could definitely see them being a playoff team next year. So yeah. So I mean I could see him as a dark horse or something like that, but nah, but yeah, but I think they're just mid in my opinion because they got Derek Carr. Um, the New York Giants are next. The Giants, the Giants are just trash because I understand they got Daniel Jones, but they're just trash because the Giants were so trash last year. I mean, they need to improve. They need to improve areas of their roster because they can do it with a ton of cap space. Because you got Saquon Barkley's a free agent. I mean, we're gonna see what they can do with him. Darren Waller was disappointing. Now they may look to add a receiver that can really help them. I mean, the receiving core is naked. I mean, the offensive line may look to improve a little bit. Defensively, they're really solid, but I don't think they're as good. But they can be ran on at times. Xavier McKinney's a free agent. We're gonna see what they can do with him. They may look to at least improve, areas of their offensive line, so their offensive line can be better. Which this team could definitely draft the quarterback this year, but I don't know. But they don't got Wink Martindale anymore, so I don't know how the Giants defense will be. So yeah, I got the Giants as trash. Next team, we got the New York Jets. The Jets are another fascinating team. The Jets, Aaron Rodgers should be coming back fully healthy. Now I feel like he's gonna be rusty because he's coming off that Achilles injury. I don't know if he's gonna be the same player out there. Now defense is pretty good, but they can be ran on at times. They got a lot of talent on defense. Quentin Williams is a stud. CJ Mosley is a stud. Quincy Williams is a stud. Bryce Hubb's a free agent. We're going to see what they can do with him. Sauce Gardner's a stud. DJ Reed's a stud. Now, they may look to improve at safety a little bit because Jordan Whitehead's a free agent. Offensive line is so bad. I mean, the play calling from Hackett is not good. Robert Solomon seems like he's not a good coach. But I feel like he could be with Aaron Rodgers. So, yeah, I mean, the receiving core outside Garrett Wilson, I don't think is as good for the Jets, but Garrett Wilson, will be a really good number one wide receiver. I mean, Alan Lazard can be a good number two. I mean, so yeah. So the Jets, I mean, the tight ends are really fine. So yeah, I think the offense, will be as. I feel like the Jets might be so disappointing this year, but I don't really know. But you know what? Since they got Aaron Rodgers, I could definitely see them in the playoffs, but I'm gonna put them as a dark horse because I think the Jets have a great opportunity if they can make at least make a run on a playoff push. So yeah, I got the Jets as a dark horse. Next team, we got the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles are another fascinating team. Now I think the Eagles, are gonna be better than people think because a lot of people are gonna be sleeping on them because of how the way they ended their season. Now Jalen Hurts is a stud at quarterback. Running back DeAndre Swift, he's a free agent. We're gonna see what they can do with him. They can replace him with another running back. They got the receiving core is pretty good. AJ Brown and Devonta Smith are stud. Dallas Goedert is a stud. Offensive line is pretty good. Now Jason Kelsey did retire. Now the defense is pretty strong. I mean, defensive line is pretty good. I mean, secondary is pretty good as well. So yeah, they got some talent there, but and also they got a new coaching staff as well. I mean, new we got new adults in the school building, so yeah. But you know what though? Anyways, I think the Eagles, are just, a mid team in my opinion. I mean, they could be mid, they could be dark horse. Maybe I'd put them in the playoffs. I don't know. I'm gonna say playoffs. So yeah. So I and then next team we got the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers are very interesting though because we don't know what they're gonna do at quarterback. Is Kenny Pickett gonna be the guy? We don't know. Offensive line needs some work. I mean, defensively, they don't need work. They're pretty good. I mean, T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith are studs. Cameron Hayward's stud. They got plenty of weapons on defense, on and all that, and plenty much on offense as well. So yeah, but you know what though? I just kind of feel the Steelers' running game has worked really better for them. So yeah. So obviously, I think the Steelers, I think they're somewhere between one of these categories, but I'm gonna put them as a mid team for right now because I think the Steelers, are kind of mid because their offensive line needs some work. I don't think it's as good as it used to be. The defense is fine, but they can be ran on at times. So yeah, so that's why I put the Steelers as a mid team. Next team, you have Seattle Seahawks. I think Seattle Seahawks are gonna be really good next year. Where they should have made the playoffs the last year. But you know what though? They have some move questions to answer. I mean, are they going to keep Jamal Adams? Or are they going to keep one of these players? Are they going to keep on? I mean, if they're going to keep on like doing stuff and all that, maybe. But the Seahawks, I think the Seahawks are a playoff team. Maybe they're a dark horse in my opinion. I think the Seahawks are a dark horse because I think Seattle has a good opportunity to make the playoffs next year, especially Geno Smith. Seems like he looks to be a stud at quarterback, but he's really not though. And then the defense is pretty good. They have a good corner duo. I mean, the safety duels they cut though who they lost. Defensive line may look to improve. They bring back Jordan and Brooks or something like that, or maybe some. So yeah, so I think the Seahawks are just a dark horse. And also, they're going to be doing learning code with a new head coach and Mike McDonald. We're going to see what he can do as a head coach. So, yeah. Next thing you have San Francisco 49ers. 49ers are our favorite because they're one of the best teams in the NFL. You got Brock Purdy, who's a stud at quarterback. Debo Smith's a stud. Christian McCaffrey's a stud. Brandon Ayuk is a stud. George Kittle's is a stud. I mean, they got a lot of pieces on offense they can work with. And then defensively, they're really good up front. Nick Bosa is a stud. Fred Warner is a stud. Dre Greenlaw is a stud. So yeah. So I think the Niners, should be favored. You can also have the best coach as well. All right, next team we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are another interesting team now. Now the Buccaneers won a division last year and they won a playoff game. But Baker Mayfield could be the question. Like, we don't know who the quarterback's going to be. Is Baker Mayfield going to stay or he's going to leave? Like, we're going to figure that out. I mean, without that, they have plenty of talent. I mean, we're going to see what they can do with Mike Evans, and we're going to see what they can do with Chris Godwin. Actually, Mike Evans got paid, so yeah. I mean, offensive line did improve. I mean, the defense, is pretty strong. I mean, Todd Bowles' scheme is pretty good. So yeah. I mean, they got good corners, good safeties, but they cut Shaq Barrett due to capital. We're gonna see if So yeah, so that was really good. So basically, though, if I had to guess right now, I would at least like put the Bucks in the playoffs because I think the Bucks have a good opportunity to make the playoffs next year. So yeah, I think the Bucks, are just a playoff team in my opinion because I think the Bucks, deserve it. And we don't know if Baker's coming back or not. If they can at least like sign a franchise quarterback, I mean that can help. All right, next thing I have Tennessee Titans. The Titans are just, this is a tough one, but they're just trash because they just don't have a quarterback. We don't know if Will Levis is a guy. Now they don't really have a lot of weapons on offense that are really scary. Now Derrick Henry's a free agent, so yeah, defense will still be very strong. I mean the offensive line is good, but so yeah, so I think the Titans should be okay next year. I mean, they lost Mike Brill and they got a new coach in Brian Callahan. So yeah, and also the Titans, their defense need to be fixed. I mean, they can improve it a little bit. They may look to improve at corner, at safety. So yeah, or maybe at the defensive lineman, or maybe at linebacker. So yeah, so I think the Titans are just trash. I mean, yeah, and then last team we got the Washington Commanders. Now, Washington Commanders are just trash because, they got rid of Ron Rivera and they got a new coach in Dan Quinn. The Commanders, they don't have a quarterback right now. They may look to draft one, or maybe they may look to get a veteran. Offensive line may need some work, but the receiving core is awesome. Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dawson are studs. They may look to improve at tight end a little bit. Defensively, I don't think they're as good as they used to be because they traded two of their best starters, in Montez Sweat and Chase Young. Jonathan Allen and Deron Pan are only good defensive players up front. The offense, defensively, they have a linebacker in there, and then such and such like that. Secondary may look to improve. They may look to improve at corner. Kendall Fuller's free agent. Cameron Curl's a free agent. We don't know what they're going to do with them, but they can sign some free agents, though. So, yeah. Running game also doesn't exist. So, yeah. So, Washington's trash. All right, guys. So, we're going to go through all the tiers. So, we got the Lions. So, favorite category, Lions, Chiefs, Niners. Contender, Bills, Bengals, Packers. Playoffs, Ravens, Cowboys, Texans, Rams, Eagles, Bucks. Dark horse, Bears, Browns, Colts, Jaguars, Chargers, Dolphins, Vikings, Jets, Seahawks. Mid, Cardinals, Falcons, Patriots, Saints, Steelers, and then trash, Panthers, Broncos, Raiders, Giants, Titans, Commanders. I'm probably going to adjust this a little bit because I think I have, in the playoffs, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, 11, 12. We need, two more. So I'm probably going to adjust this a little bit. So maybe I'll, put the Browns, right here. So that's 13, and maybe we need one more. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's see. I'm gonna put the Chargers right up here as a playoff team because I think they could be a playoff team next year. So yeah. Well, all right, it's much better. So all right, guys. Thank you guys for watching, and also don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel if you can, and put a thumbs up, like the video if you can. Well, this is Mail Jones, big fan. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys later. Peace.